So in my personal kind of spiritual practice, I've been working with being in my flow, or being in a flow through life, or with life perhaps. And I've been doing a lot of inquiry around this. I've been exploring it, and some of you may know that I work part-time at the emergency room in Bend. And as it turns out, the emergency room, working in the emergency room, can be a really good indicator and teacher if I'm in my flow or not. You know, it's kind of a severe teacher. Like if I'm not in my flow, it shows me, reflects pretty quickly. It's like that I'm not in my flow. If I am, it's like, yeah, I'm feeling this groove, and that worked, and that opens this, and and so anyway, yesterday actually, and I'm working there, and I needed a hand. I was with a patient, and I kind of had a little time of need. It's like, and I saw a nurse that was standing there. She didn't seem to be doing anything. She was kind of chatting a little bit, and I said, "Hey, could you like give me a hand?" And she looked at me, and she just said, "No." And I was a little surprised, and I was a little taken back. It's like, oh, okay. It was like awkward, right? And I just kept moving and found someone else to help me. But later, as I kind of did some inquiry around this, I realized that I was a little attached, that she said no. And how did I realize I was attached? Because I had created some stories about this, okay? And what I mean by stories, it's just like I started having some judgments, like that just wasn't very cool, about, that she wasn't willing to help me, and she must be this, and some judgment. And it's like, boy, if someone would have asked me, I certainly would have, helped them. And of course, the reality was she wasn't me. And the other thing I realized is that at that given moment, when I'm in my time of need, and when I invite them to be part of my flow, people are either willing and able to be part of my flow and help, or they're not. And it really isn't it really is not about me. It sometimes isn't even about them. Sometimes it's situational, and who knows why she said no. I can tell myself stories about why, but I don't really know. I didn't ask her why she said no, so who knows why. And but the other thing I realized is, when I do attach, okay, when I'm in my flow and I do attach to something or someone or some situation or some outcome, it takes me out of my flow. I kind of get stuck, and then I'm not present anymore, and I'm out of my flow, And so what I started working with this, and I realized that it's just really important, to stay in my flow and to not attach, and to kind of accept whether the person says yes or no when I ask them for help. If she says yes, then she was obviously part of my flow. If she said no, then I guess someone else or some other situation. My flow went around her and on to something else, apparently. And so this is really a challenging practice for me. But anyway, I started kind of putting this together a little bit, and I realized that there's kind of a few key words that I use. And the first is like possibility. It's like when I'm in my flow and I see a pathway or a doorway, you could say, I see it as a possibility. So when I saw her, it's like, she could maybe help me. So then that's a possibility. And I like the word possibility, because it's like, it's not saying that it is the thing that's going to help me or not. It's just, it's a possibility. Like maybe she's part of my flow, and it's a possibility that she's part of my flow. So there's less attachment by using that word. And then the second word I really like is invitation. Okay. And so then it's like, see the possibility, I invite. In this case, I invited the nurse to be part of my flow, to help me out, And so invitation's nice, because it's just like, are you able to help me? I'm inviting her to be part of my flow. And she's, as I said earlier, willing and able to, or not. And again, if it's an invitation, then it possibility, invitation, no. Okay, well then what's the next possibility? And then I'll invite another person or another situation, you know, and I really like that. And this part about getting attached is really big. I found that if I'm really in my flow and on my game, I'm like equally able to accept the yes or no answer, or whether maybe it's not a person, maybe it's like whether something works or doesn't work. Of course, it always feels better if we try something and it works. It feels better if we ask for help and they say yes, for sure. But if I'm really in my flow, I'm really pure possibility, pure invitation, and it's like either way, yes or no, or works or doesn't work. I just kind of flow. Oh, it works. Oh, I guess the flow's in that direction. Didn't work. Oh, I guess the flow's in this direction instead. You know, and that's what I think the real magic of flowing is. And of course, the obvious, you know, metaphor for me is like flowing like water, you know, because if you're like a water in a stream, okay, if it flows around the rocks, right? It doesn't, you know, it doesn't like if it's attached, if the water was attached, it doesn't continue to slam into the boulder expecting the boulder to change. You know, it's a little absurd, but like no, if the boulder is not able to be, you know, the water flows around the boulder, and so the water, even if it's not directly participate, it's part of the flow. It's showing the flow around, and it's part of the flow, and but it takes a lot of willingness and accepting and not getting attached, you know, and it's got to be okay for me to either way. She either helps or she doesn't help. Equally good, I guess, you know, or the project either works or it doesn't. So anyway, that's been part of what I've been up to. Maybe it resonates with you. I don't know, but that is my video for this week. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome week. And maybe my invitation to you would be to maybe just observe your flow, and like when do you get attached? And when you get attached, does it knock you out of your flow like it does for me? You know, and then can you be okay with it being either yes or no, or working or not? And can you stay in your flow? If you want to flow, but I think it's kind of fun to flow. So anyway, I will see you in a week.